My name is Daniel Miller. I'm your servant host, and this is the Biblical Anatomy Podcast. Hello, my name is Daniel Miller, servant host of the Biblical Anatomy Podcast. Today I want to talk about percentage-based lifting. What is percentage-based lifting? Well, in order to have a percent based off whatever the lift is, you need to understand your one repetition maximum. What is a one repetition maximum? Well, one repetition maximum is the maximum amount of weight that you can lift one time in any given lift. Okay, so we'll use back squat, for example. This is a number that represents either an estimation or an actual lift where you could not complete a second repetition. Now, for most of us, it's not wise to try and figure out a one rep max, a true one rep max by ourselves. So what I often instruct clients to do is to estimate. And we have a percentage-based calculator. You can find that at our website, biblicalanatomyacademy.com/1RM, and you'll get access to a free 1RM calculator that'll go along with this message quite well. And on that, you'll see a whole bunch of numbers. And so you can really put a safe weight on the bar, and you can do as many repetitions as you possibly can. The key for it being accurate, however, is that you could not do another repetition. So let's say you put 250 pounds on the bar for back squat, and you can get to an 11th rep, but you cannot get to a 12th rep. Well, all the math is done for you in the calculator. You just input what weight you did next to the number 11, and it'll extrapolate. Is it going to be as accurate as if you did an actual one rep max? No, but it's not far off, and it's a whole lot safer to do. Now, why does any of this matter? Well, it matters because percentages are very straightforward. They may take a little bit of mathematics to get there, but they're very straightforward in terms of not wavering throughout a program. How many of us have been in a program and we wake up one day and, okay, I guess I'll do back squats, but I'm going to take it easy today. I'm not feeling the best. Percentages take that away. You wake up, you're doing a specific percentage based on the program, and that's it. So you look at the number that's represented by the percentage, and you put that on the bar. Now, I'm giving you a little extra information. Really what I like to do is instruct clients to find the one rep max before I tell them any of that other stuff. Because I don't want there to be a fibrillation, funny made up word, combining atrial fibrillation with fibbing about something, but a fibrillation about the number that they're supposed to have in that one rep max or what their true capability is. I'll often like to test either the very beginning of a program or at the end of a program when a client is very motivated to see what their output is and how strong that they've got. Hopefully at that time they're not thinking about that what that does to the percentages in the next program. If you've done this once before, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. You see the percentages, you're happy that you've achieved a certain level of strength and adaptation, but then when it comes time for the next program, these percentages start to look bigger and bigger. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. And so percentage-based lifting gives us the opportunity that we can look at any specific lift we have in a completely honest and straightforward capacity and put exactly what's on the bar that's supposed to be there, okay? So when you do this, you're going to have to, after figuring out what your one rep max is, an estimated or an actual, you're going to have to then plug and play. And what's the next step? How do you know what to then put on the bar and how many times to lift it? I have a document for you at biblicalanatomyacademy.com/template that provides you a blank template with 5 workout days and 4 exercises per day. It's highly modifiable. All you have to do is plug in the exercise name, and then there's a little green section where you plug in the exercise weight. When you do that, it calculates all the percentages for you. But the question still remains, well, how many times do I lift it? And most people start with something like 3 sets of 10. But what percentage do I figure out that I'm doing? Is it 35%? Is it 50%? Is it 90%? I don't know. And so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of work down through those numbers, and you can kind of figure this out by looking at the 1 rep max calculator that we've designed and kind of figure this out a different way. But for the first 10 or so reps, it goes about like this. 1 rep, of course, is your 100%. 2 reps, you see the biggest drop, and that goes all the way to 95%. From that point forward, for every 2 reps, it's another 5%. So if we're at 4 reps, we're at 90%. If we are at 6 reps, we're at 85%. If we are at 8 reps, we're at 80%. We're at 10 reps, we're at 75%. Generally, we can go 2 more reps, get us to 12, and then it get us down to 70%. And then usually 15 is a good number to round off on. Go about 3 reps there, and then it's going to dock you another 5%, get you down to 65%. You now have gaps for these other numbers, the odd numbers mainly. For instance, 5. How do you know what percentage to lift when you have 5? Well, we know that 4 reps is 90%, and we know that 6 reps is 85%. So right in the middle at 87.5% is where we're going to be for our 5th rep. Again, when you do this, there is no negotiating. It just is what it is. And what matters most is that you participated with all honesty and really battled your tail off when lifting that 1 rep max. If you do that, all these numbers take care of themselves. And as long as you load what you are instructed to load on the bar, you're going to see phenomenal results. And that's the goal, right? That's the whole purpose of doing something like this, is to yield phenomenal results. And so I personally subscribe almost exclusively to percentage-based lifting because it takes all of that wiggle room away. When am I most motivated to lift? Is probably when I'm designing the program, right? Now, it's going to be a few weeks, 3rd week, get into it. I'm not really motivated to lift that day. My back's hurting, have a headache, whatever the case is. And without percentage-based lifting, I can sort of negotiate out of that. I can take the day off or just take it easy, drop down to 40% and just kind of do my thing. But with percentage-based lifting, I know exactly where I'm supposed to be. It's also a great indicator to measure if we are on track or if we're off. So if one day you come into the gym and you load up what the program tells you to load up on the bar and you just can't muster it, you're probably gaining in the wrong ways. You're probably overtraining is what we would call it. And so you're probably going to want to dial back on either the number of exercises per training session or the number of training sessions per week to get you to where you need to go. On the other side of the coin, if you're hitting all your numbers with ease and you still have energy left over, you're probably not hitting where you're supposed to be. You probably need to bump up your percentages, or you need to retest because you've gained so much strength that you've sort of outgained or performed the program. This is very common the first few programs that you do because that's when you're going to gain the most strength. So I've given you the percentages, 1 through about 15, or the percentages as they correlate to reps about 1 through 15. And so you can plug and play from that point forward. Really, you can take this podcast with those 2 documents that we provide, and you can create a really robust program. And you can go for a good 12 weeks. So how do you structure it month by month in that instance? Well, it's pretty simple. Let's say we are at a 3 sets of 10. That's a pretty basic program, right? So what did we say was the percentage at 10 reps? We said that was about 75%, right? So that's kind of our standard, right? Based on what we did for a 1 rep max, we should be able to get 10 reps at whatever 75% is. So what I like to do is go about 5 below and a 5 above. And I like to staircase it, which we call linear periodization. So 5 below would be 70%, right? So if the first month I'm going after 3 sets of 10, week 1, I'm probably going to do 3 sets of 10 at 70%. I may even go lower down to 60 or 65% if I'm looking for technique. I'm only going to proceed into the higher intensity percentages. And by the way, when I say intensity, largely that means percentage. And I'm only going to do that if I feel comfortable with the exercises and that I know my form is good. I know my form is solid. Because the last thing that we want to do is get injured during this process. But provided that's good, even if it takes me a week or two or even a month or a few months to get my technique down, which I would highly recommend for brand new lifters, after that point, I'm going to go probably about 70%. 3 sets of 10, 70%. You may already be getting ahead of me and saying, well, what exercises? To be honest with you, the exercises don't matter at this point in time. Yes, you want a good pressing exercise. Yes, you want a good pulling exercise. Yes, you want plenty of upper body. You want plenty of lower body, but the exercise selection is probably the least important right now. I would focus on what you know to be true, what muscle groups you want to work out, and those sorts of things. Okay. That kind of comes later, but matters least in terms of these numbers. The percentages, the sets, and the reps are kind of your top 3 things. After that, it'd be rest time, and then maybe your exercise selection. I do that for a week. Next week, I'm going to do 3 sets of 10 at 75%. And really that second week is a confirmation week. It just shows that my 1 rep max is accurate because I could do 10 repetitions. You may be able to get an 11th rep, maybe a 12th rep, but don't worry about pushing it too hard. Week 2 is your confirmation week. Now, week 3 is where I want to see if I've gained anything. And so that's going to go 3 sets of 10 it would be at 80% now. Okay. And that is where you're most likely to achieve failure, but you've got to bring it that week. You've got to push hard and do everything you can to get through the week, get through the program. Probably going to have some soreness. It's going to be the most difficult week of that month, but the next week is where you back off and you either do some active recovery that is related to what you're doing in the gym, some similar exercises, or you may bump it all the way back down to say 60%, 65%, maybe at the most 70%, and go through everything again. You're really just trying to restore tissue and you're trying to move that week. Some people will take that week completely off. Some people will staircase it a little differently to where it's more around week 5 or 6 that they're taking off. Usually a month is good for me. This is highly dependent on age. Generally, the older you are, the longer it takes you to recover. And so you may want to take smaller steps throughout the program and maybe take a complete week off in between your sessions. So now you're in month 2. You might want to do 4 sets of 8 or something like that. Or you might want to head the other direction and do 3 sets of 15. You figure out your percentages and you do the same sort of thing. You have your week 2, which is your confirmation. Week 1 is 5% below, and week 3 is 5% above. Again, you could cut it down to 2.5% to make some extra steps there to turn that 3 weeks into 5 weeks. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do. But if you stick with percentage-based lifting, which is what we promote here at Biblical Anatomy Academy, you're going to see phenomenal results as long as you stay with it. As long as you stick with it, and as long as you're honest with what your 1 rep max truly is based on your testing. I don't like to test every month. That's too frequent for me, but I might do a 12-week program. So I'll have a focus for 4 weeks, a focus for 4 weeks, another focus for 4 weeks, and now I'm at my 12 weeks. That's the conclusion. I'll probably go ahead and retest then. I may take an opportunity at that point in time to take a week or maybe even 2 weeks off completely. So this is a good time for family vacations, spring break, Christmas holiday, those sorts of things. Doesn't always work out that way, but it's good timing if you can make it work out that way. And this is where early in the year, in January, where we're at now, that this makes a whole lot of sense to set this up and know what you're doing for the year. And again, you can just repeat those patterns. You can do 12 weeks by 12 weeks by 12 weeks. You do that 4 times, you're at 48 weeks. You're basically at a year. So you've got a year program with the resources and the information that we've provided in this single episode. In future episodes, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. Here, upcoming next week, we're going to talk about the stress response system. And thereafter, we're going to talk about muscle protein synthesis. And there'll be many other topics to cover. In the previous weeks, we talked about osteoporosis, and we talked about what is biblical anatomy to kind of define that. And in between those 2 weeks, we talked about building muscle fast. So each week, each Monday, we're going to have a new topic. It's going to pertain, obviously, to Biblical Anatomy Academy, and it's going to pertain to exercise physiology to help you achieve your goals. If you're interested in more information or you'd like to schedule a one-on-one time with me, if you go to biblicalanatomyacademy.com, scroll down just a little ways, there's a green button that says coffee. Go ahead and select that. Pick a time that we can meet so we can meet as close to in person as possible. Speaking of in person, if you are in the Boise, Idaho area, I'd be happy to meet with you in person. If you're outside of that area, then we can do something virtual. But we're here to serve you. We do charge for our services, but not the exchange of knowledge. If you're looking for some answers to a few questions or some elaboration on the podcast, we provide that as free resources for you. We love to talk shop, and thank you for the opportunity to spend 10, 20, 30 minutes with you talking shop and answering some questions. As I've said in previous episodes, if I die tomorrow, this knowledge dies with me. And it exists in no other brain in such a consolidated fashion with the level of depth in which I have it. And that's not to be conceited or have an ego. That's just to recognize that God gave me a distinct gift and distinct set of skills that is unique to me. And so I want to meet with people. I want to continue this podcast and be able to share this information. If you're looking for a very tailored program specific for you to take the hard work out of designing it and rely on us, we do charge for that, but we'd be happy to do that. If you're in the area and you'd like to build a home gym, we'd certainly be willing to help you with that. If you'd like help with pointers in terms of nutrition and grocery lists and shopping and all those sorts of things, we're happy to help out in that regard. And if you're looking for somebody to be there with you and keep you accountable through this process, we're happy to do that also. At our highest tier services, you basically chew the food and lift the weights. We do everything else. Okay, so there's many different areas we can help you. We have free resources and we have expensive resources where we take care of everything for you. So please consider us if you're looking for help in that regard. Before we conclude here, I want to take an opportunity with every episode to read a section of scripture. Today I'm going to focus on Acts, the book of Acts, in chapter 20 and verse 35. In all things I have shown you that by working hard in this way we must help the weak and remember the words of the Lord Jesus, how he himself said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Perfect timing with the holidays just having come to a conclusion there. Focus on Jesus as the reason for the season and the reason for everything we have in life all year round. We appreciate you tremendously, and we look forward to talking to you in the future. Until next time, we love you, and we'll see you on the next episode. God bless. We want to sincerely thank you for listening to today's episode and conclude properly with the Lord's Prayer. Pray then like this: Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Brother, thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope that this show is bringing you joy, it's bringing you peace, it's increasing your proximity to God, and it's helping you add on serious muscle mass. That's what God's provided us the gift to do. It's to understand how the human body works, to put as much muscle on it as possible, which we understand is a unique challenge not present to everyone, but it's a challenge that's present to you and I. And so we hope that today's episode and all episodes are encouraging you and helping you in that endeavor. Now, if you're like me and you're listening to this part of the episode You probably are the type that has to listen to the entire episode or it doesn't count. Or maybe you're just stuck in traffic and you can't turn the podcast episode off at this point in time. Or maybe you are like me and when you read a book, you have to read the entire book, including the copyright information. I know, it's a silly, silly endeavor, but we are the way that we are, and God made us perfectly. We are the only creation of His that is made in His image. And with that in mind, I'd like to encourage you further and provide you a couple resources that will be of immense benefit for you. The first is a 1 repetition maximum calculator. This calculator is made through a spreadsheet, and it's laid out very well for you to estimate how strong that you have got over a specific period of time. There is a video on this landing page as well that'll instruct you how to use it, but if you need further instruction, please go to our homepage at biblicalanatomyacademy.com and schedule a coffee session with me where we can talk about the 1 repetition maximum calculator. To get the 1 repetition maximum calculator, you'll want to go to biblicalanatomyacademy.com/1RM. You'll enter in your name and email, and you'll get access immediately to the spreadsheet that we have created. Also of value would be a template to get you started as you begin to design new programs to break through plateaus as we instruct. This program that we have, this template, utilizes all the percentages that we preach and we believe is the best tool for you to break through those plateaus. You can access it at biblicalanatomyacademy.com/template. You enter your name and email and you'll get an immediate download for the spreadsheet that we have created that allows you to put any of your exercises in, any of those 1 repetition maximums in, and use the document for success long term. Again, if you need assistance with either of those spreadsheets, the 1 repetition maximum calculator or the template we have created at Biblical Anatomy Academy, please go to our homepage at biblicalanatomyacademy.com, scroll down, and click the green button for coffee, and we'd be happy to meet with you over a cup of coffee, or water, or pre-workout, or a protein shake, whatever suits you best, so we can instruct you moving forward in life, in fitness, and in love. We thank you for being here. We thank you for listening all the way to the conclusion. We hope that you listen to a further episode and enjoy, and we hope to have future correspondence with you. God bless, and we love you.